What is up, everybody? Welcome back. This is my first ever episode of my solo podcast, at least for now, where I'm just going to be going over all the stuff that I've talked about throughout the week. I think that a lot of my content, a lot of my videos can definitely be consumed just from listening to the audio. So I wanted to give you guys that option. This is going to be available on Spotify as well as on YouTube. Right now it's named the Plume podcast. That's a pending name. It may change, but that's what I'm calling it for now. And I just want to go into maybe a deeper dive into the stuff that I talk about in my shorter form videos, because there is a ton of news that has been coming out and it's just so much to keep track of. And if you can listen to it in one easy to consume audio form, I think that is something great. So this is going to be episode 1. I'm going to make this a weekly series where it's going to be released every Sunday, and you guys are going to be able to listen to it if that's something you're into. So let's get started here. There was a lot of stuff that happened last week that, a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of stuff to debate about and talk about. But I'm going to start off here with the first thing that I went over throughout the week. The first thing that had caught my attention and pretty easy to, be controversial over, I guess you could say. And that is Sony killing off the old web versions of the PlayStation Store that allowed people to access PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, and PlayStation Portable games, which it's sad for a lot of people who want to try to go back and play those legacy games. They're going to have up until, I believe it is June or July 2nd for the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation Portable games, and then they're going to have until I think August for the PSP games. So yeah, the 27th, or so for the Vita games, until the 27th of August for the Vita games. And then after that, you're just going to be shit out of luck if you want to go back and try to get those games digitally. You're probably going to have to try to find them physically somewhere. But one of the biggest repercussions, I think, from closing down these stores is going to be the fact that these physical games for PS3, Vita, and PSP, the second that these stores are closed down, are going to start skyrocketing in price. We've seen that with just retro game collecting throughout the years, how prices have just continued to go up and up because getting those physical games are becoming more and more scarce. I think we just actually even recently saw a sealed copy of Super Mario Bros. For the original Nintendo Entertainment System sold for $600,000 or something like that. I forget which exact version or which Mario it was, but crazy. So we're going to see prices increase on physical games, and that's going to be one of the biggest drawbacks of these stores closing. And then obviously you're going to lose out on being able to buy these games. In terms of still being able to download these games, one of the at least good things for everybody out there, if you've already purchased any of these games digitally, even after these stores closed, you're still going to be able to access those through your download list on your profile. So I guess that is relieving for a lot of people, reassuring that they're not going to lose all of their stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still kind of, it's sad to see this stuff being closed off. And with that being said, we started to see this Foreverphysical hashtag. I'm gonna reload the page here because it's kind of weird looking, but we started seeing this Foreverphysical hashtag being thrown around on Twitter, and just people coming up with reasons to abandon anything digital, but mainly abandoned the subscription services for Xbox Game Pass, which, as we know, this week has had some crazy bombshell announcements, MLB The Show. And to me, it's just this Foreverphysical thing is absolutely ridiculous. And I've said this in my video when I talked about this, was the fact that this isn't coming from somebody who is new to gaming, who has always bought digital games, who doesn't have any physical games. This is coming from somebody who loves physical games and has literally had been buying physical games all the way up until nearing the end of the Xbox One generation. When they released Game Pass, they released the Xbox One X, and then the value proposition of physical games really became absolutely zero for me, because when you buy a physical game, it's a license to play that game. It's a mode of transportation to play that license, which is obviously you're getting that on the disc and you're putting it in. You put it into your console, you still have to download sometimes 50 gigabytes, 40 gigabytes of information to actually get access to the entire game, any patches or anything like that. So if at any point that game gets delisted off of the store and you don't have it downloaded on your console, even if you have a disc, you're still not going to be able to access that stuff through their servers and everything. So there's so much that goes into games today when it comes to patches, when it comes to downloads, with the utilization of the backend servers. It's not like the olden days on the Super Nintendo. You bought a cart, you got a really cool box, and then you had the manual in there, you had a bunch of promo items, and then you had the entire game on the cartridge and you would pop it in and it would work. You wouldn't have to worry about anything ever again. You own that game and you would never ever lose access to that game because it was all there on the cart. It isn't like that anymore with physical games today, which for that reason alone, I mean, I don't see the value proposition in physical games. There is the argument, however, that people say is, well, you can trade in your games and you can share your games easier with your friends and your family, and you can pass them around. And that's one of the, I guess, biggest value propositions for buying physical. And to that, I say, I see your point, but that's where a service like Xbox Game Pass comes in and again makes that, in my opinion, just completely a no argument for what is better value. Xbox Game Pass does not, being able to trade and sell your games does not make me want to buy physical games over buying Xbox Game Pass. I pay 15, 16 or 17, something like that, in that range, dollars a month for Xbox Game Pass. And I mean, that's just the regular price. I probably even pay less because of some of the promos and stuff. But anyways, that's around the regular price here in Canada. And get access to hundreds of games. Get access to day one Xbox Game Studio games. So you're paying very little per game that you are going to play. So Game Pass, in my opinion, has completely killed any value there is in buying physical games. And then you have the other argument, which I can see as well, because I'm somebody who does have a collection and likes to collect older games. People just like having it on their shelves to look at for their collection. And for that, I mean, to each their own. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think because there's nothing in those boxes anymore, my intrinsic value for buying a physical Xbox Series or PlayStation 5 game has almost dwindled down to zero. That's for me personally. There's nothing wrong with buying physical games, but the movement and the anger behind this Foreverphysical hashtag, because Sony decided to close down their stores and people like literally begging and trying to get petitions signed or not signing up for Xbox Game Pass and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. And it's almost like, in my opinion, a lot of these people spend time on social media trying to talk bad about the stuff that they dislike about gaming rather than playing a lot of games. That's just like an outsider's perspective of what I see. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but Foreverphysical, to me, in 2021 going forward, is just, it's something that I don't see any value in. And for me, I'm pretty much now going completely digital with Xbox Game Pass. And that's pretty much going to be my main source of playing video games throughout this entire generation. And hey, if PlayStation releases PlayStation Pass, or they increase the value of PlayStation Now, and even, I mean, PlayStation Plus has some great games that come out on it as well. Those are going to be my avenues of playing games. But with that being said, there's still going to be a handful of games that I buy physically, like special editions. Like I'll still buy Halo Infinite Special Edition. I'll buy a Gear 6 Special Edition. I may buy one of the upcoming Bethesda games Special Edition, maybe Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5 or something. So I will still get some physical games, but the majority of my gaming is going to be through Xbox Game Pass. So that's all I want to say about that. I mean, seeing it trending and kind of getting some traction, and some of the ridiculous tweets I saw on social media were funny. And even in my comments on that video, I respect everyone's opinion. Like, I think everyone deserves to respectfully talk about what they believe in and everything. So people who were still buying physical, even in my comments, people were just like, yeah, I like physical because I like to own the game, like to have it on my shelf. And I mean, if that's what you enjoy, I mean, that's your choice. My point is that like it's really just a license, but if you want to have it on your shelf, that's great. Like I have a collection of like 360 games up here. I even have a bunch of Xbox One games, and it's cool to look at. I have to admit, just having that shelf filled with games people can come over creates conversations and stuff like that. So in that sense, yeah, it's cool. But like I said, the value proposition now, pick those games up. To me, is almost done. But I'm gonna stop ranting on that because I think I've kind of beaten that as much as I can. And then we'll move on to the next topic. And the next topic was Google Stadia and Discord actually being available on the Xbox Series consoles through the updated Edge Chromium browser. And this is in the alpha skip ahead program, which fortunately I don't have access to, and I don't know why. I've signed up for in the insider app and everything. I've registered all that kind of stuff, and for some reason I'm not getting it. But anyways, hopefully I get it soon. But the cool thing about this browser is that it's going to open up a lot of functionality that, I mean, you wouldn't expect to be available on a console, because it's going to give you access to other competitors' features and stuff that isn't an Xbox feature. And that is the fact that you're going to be able to access Google Stadia. This is the video there's a video I'm watching right now from The Verge where Tom Warren actually has the access to the Alpha Skip Ahead program, and he opens up the browser and he's going through it, and he's going to show being able to play your Stadia games if you're subscribed to Stadia through your Xbox Series console, meaning that for Stadia it isn't that big of a thing because I don't think anything on Stadia is not on Xbox. But he is also showing you being able to access GeForce Now, which allows you to stream your Steam library games to any device. So you're going to be able to access games that actually aren't available on Xbox through an Xbox console by accessing GeForce Now through the browser. And I mean, one of the big ones people will talk about is the Death Stranding. Me, I couldn't care less. I hate Death Stranding. It's one of my least favorite games I've ever experienced. I didn't finish it, I'll be honest with you. I put in about 10, 15 or so hours. I forget how much, but I couldn't stand that game. It just was not for me. So that doesn't matter to me, but it is cool that this browser is going to open up features that, I mean, it just makes the Xbox a console that is open-ended. You can do so much with it, because you want to play games on it, but other than just play video games. We've seen that with the developer mode. We've seen how if you pay that $20 or $19 to unlock the developer mode, you're going to be able to install an emulator, and you're going to be able to play Super Nintendo, PS1, PS2, PlayStation, Nintendo, all those games through an emulator on your Xbox console. And I think it's a really smart thing, because one of the smartest things I think Xbox has done with this is they know no matter what, you put out a device, you put out a console, people are going to try to hack it. People are going to try to get in and install their own custom software on it. So they're just like, hey, why don't we just create a developer mode and just give people that access? We'll make a little bit of money, and you can do whatever you want on the console that you spent your hard-earned money on. And I think it was a very smart move. So I have an Xbox Series S. I have an Xbox Series X. I'm soon, eventually, I don't know when, but I'm going to install an emulator on one of them. Maybe even just get another Xbox Series S and kind of make that my retro device and just have the emulator on there in a future date. But I think it's really awesome. And then the other thing that is available through the browser now is the ability to actually access Discord. Now, the caveat to this that I was reading was that you can't do voice chat yet in it, but you can still access like your friends list. You can still access the chat and all that kind of stuff. And this is hot on the heels, obviously, that we know that Xbox is in exclusive talks right now with Discord. They're trying to acquire them, but hopefully they eventually add functionality in the Discord browser app on your Xbox to be able actually to join the voice channels and use your mic. I just want to make sure this hasn't been updated. Last time I read, you weren't able to use your mic. Still don't think you can, but either way, Discord coming to Xbox would be such a game changer just to have the app, because I mean, they already are doing the cross-play functionality. They're already trying to make Xbox the place to play for everybody. So whether you're on PC, whether you're on console, whether you're on Android, and there's Discord on your phone, there's Discord on your PC. It's missing on the console. And let's say you play a crossplay game. If you had a native Discord app on your console, you could just hop into Discord chat with your PC buddies or somebody on their Android phone, and that would be awesome. I would love to see that. I have so many friends that play PC, they don't have an Xbox, they use Discord. And if I could just jump into Discord when I'm playing a game, just even hang out, even if we're not even playing the same game, right? Just to hang out, I think it would be really cool. And then we would, if that ever happened, I wonder what would happen to Xbox Party Chat, if they would just kind of replace it or whatever. But I'm all for Discord coming over to Xbox. I'm all for, even if it's not an acquisition, just getting a native Discord app on the console itself. So yeah, all in all, Xbox continues to open up features that, I mean, you're restricted to doing any of this stuff on other consoles. We see how restrictive the Nintendo Switch is. I don't believe you can do any of this on the PlayStation. I don't even think PlayStation has a browser yet on the PS5, which is crazy to think about. And I love the openness of the Xbox console itself. It's one of the reasons why I have an Android phone. Like, people who have Android phones, a lot of people probably get them because it's such a more open operating system compared to iOS, where you're just locked into everything Apple pushes on you. So I love what they're doing here, and I love that they are keeping these functions available. Hopefully there's no big executive at any of these companies that come in and just try to shut this stuff down and try to block it off once they realize that people are using it. It may happen. I'm not going to lie, that may actually happen, but hopefully it doesn't. So that's it for that. Yeah. Hopefully I get into the Alpha Skip Ahead program soon so I can start checking out those features on my Xbox. The next topic we're moving on to here is the Medium studio, Bloober, who also put out Blair Witch, I believe, on Xbox Game Pass, is not in acquisition talks anymore. So they don't want to be bought. They believe that if they're bought, they're not going to be able to follow through with their ideas and their projects and stuff. And now they're just looking kind of for, I guess, strategic investment from the industry. And Bloober was one of those companies that Xbox, people thought that would be a perfect acquisition for Xbox, because obviously the Medium came day one, Blair Witch came to Game Pass. It would kind of be like that horror genre developer that they could utilize to create more horror games in the future. And it just seemed like one of those acquisitions that was a no-brainer, and it's not going to happen. And for me personally, I think like it's unfortunate if you were somebody who was hoping for it. I don't really have a huge opinion on it. I don't really care that much, to be completely honest, that Bloober is not looking to be purchased. I still think all of their games are going to come to Xbox Game Pass or to Xbox in general. It's not like they're going to go off and not put their games on the platform anymore based on the previous success of the Medium and how well it did on Xbox Game Pass, how much money they're making from the deals with Xbox and putting it on Xbox Game Pass. And they're covering their risk, they're covering their marketing and production costs for these games. So I don't foresee any of that stuff changing. What I do see that is interesting from all of this is that they mention, here it says here, so at this stage, it would be incompatible with culture or the organization and would significantly limit the potential growth of the company's value in coming years, especially taking into account the projects implemented and planned. And they're just looking for investments because they have some money. They have some more value after the release of the Medium. And all this tells me is that that deal with the Medium, or with Xbox Game Pass, between the Medium and Xbox, was so instrumental in helping Bloober kind of have a little bit of leeway, have a little bit of space and breathing room with their finances, that now they can stay as an individual developer, they can look for more investments, and they can just kind of do their own thing. And that deal, I think, really, really helped them out. So if you're a developer out there looking at this, you're probably kind of salivating on what could happen if you were to put your game on Xbox Game Pass and it becomes successful and you work out some good deals with Microsoft, with Xbox. So all in all, I think I've said many times in many videos that this type of stuff is information, is news articles, it's stuff that the industry is probably talking about, stuff that developers have noticed and are probably talking about. And it just really helps to bolster the actual reputation of Xbox Game Pass, even though it's already stellar in my opinion. I think lots of developers, I think, are wanting to get a piece of this Xbox Game Pass pie when they're seeing some of the numbers that are coming out of it. They're seeing some of these subscribers, the amount of subscribers, I should say, on the service already, and it's going to continue to grow with the announcements this week with first party games coming out. So good for Bloober. I'm happy that they made their money and now they're going to be able to focus on their strategic objectives and just kind of do whatever they want. And there was a rumor that their next title was an existing horror IP from a very famous gaming publisher, which was fueling the speculation it could be reviving Silent Hill. And, Bloober probably would be a decent developer to do that. It would be a major hit. And imagine Silent Hill came to Xbox Game Pass on day one, the reboot of the series. It'd be huge. But with that being said, Bloober is not in the running right now, for the time being. Things always change, to be the next acquisition for Xbox. So moving on here to the next topic here. So xCloud's backwards compatibility and bringing over Xbox 360 and original Xbox games to the service. For a lot of people, I think this is a big win. I think this is a win for game preservation, and it really shows the difference in game preservation between Xbox and PlayStation. Basically, you're going to have access to 16 new games on xCloud, and those games are going to be 360 and original Xbox games, and some of those games are going to have touch controls, which even opens up their accessibility even more. So Jetpack Refueled has touch controls, Viva Pinata has touch controls, and the other Viva Pinata game, I don't know what the full name of that one is, but I gotta play those Viva Pinata games. People are continuously talking about them on Twitter now because of this, and I've never played them. I'll be honest, I've never played Viva Pinata, but I'm hearing some interesting things, and I love 3D platformers, so if it's like a good 3D platformer, then count me in. But yeah, so not really too much to talk about this. This is just a great thing. They're preserving games, they're giving people access to it. We've seen from the beginning of this generation the focus of backwards compatibility from Xbox, from Microsoft, and how they must have been planning for this backwards compatibility support for years, adding the audio HDR, adding the FPS boost. And it's incredible. And it's really shows you the difference in philosophy between PlayStation and Xbox. And it's funny because this announcement came out literally I think it was like a day after or something, maybe a couple days, whatever, that the news broke about the PlayStation stores closing. So it brings me to my point where I've said this in previous videos, and one of the biggest issues I have found with Xbox in the Xbox One era and in just the last couple of years, not recently though, not since the Xbox Series X, they've completely turned around everything, but was their marketing. Like PlayStation, their marketing has been far superior than Xbox's for forever. I mean, you just look at their brand loyalty that they have on PlayStation. People associate video games with PlayStation. If you're somebody who doesn't follow the industry, a lot of people will just be like, oh, I gotta go buy the PlayStation because it's the video game console. And they don't understand, they don't recognize the amazing stuff Xbox is doing. They don't see it all. And I feel like that tide is slowly turning. I think the marketing team, I guess Aaron Greenberg is the head of the marketing team there right now. I think they've done a phenomenal job in the Xbox Series X launch and up until now, just kind of making sure that it's known what is happening, what they're doing with Game Pass and with this backwards compatibility stuff, with the xCloud stuff. And I think that is what's going to propel Xbox further, is their marketing, because you have blind devotion to PlayStation. No matter what, you have blind devotion. It has a much bigger fan base. It has more people who play PlayStation than Xbox. Those are just That's just the truth. And I think Xbox Game Pass is going to change that. But you have people with blind devotion to it who will pick up a PlayStation thinking there's going to be features there that aren't there, and then be dumbfounded after, be like, well, why isn't it here? It's PlayStation. It has to have it. Or PlayStation's the coolest. I have to buy it. When in reality, Xbox is doing so many things better than PlayStation right now. So many things. Backwards compatibility, quick resume, the smart delivery. I don't know. I was blanking on that one. Smart delivery. Like, you're going to have people picking up a PlayStation just because it's PlayStation. And they're going to wonder why it's so difficult to get the latest version or the next gen version of a certain game, not knowing how simple it is on Xbox, and just like their life would be easier by going with Xbox if they're playing just multi-platform games that get the next gen upgrade, right? So I think that like the marketing on Xbox has been turning around. They're releasing something, an article like this at the exact same time the PlayStation is announcing that they're closing down those stores. I think, you know, I don't know if that was planned, but I think it does a great job to show the difference of Xbox's strategy with their game preservation versus PlayStation's strategy, where it's it's hard to explain PlayStation's strategy because PlayStation's just doing what they've always done. They're resting on their quality first party exclusives. They're resting on their blind loyal fan base who will always be loyal to them no matter what they do. And they're resting, I guess, on just the strategy that they employed on the PlayStation 4 that was so successful. And the PlayStation 4 was very successful, but one of the major reasons the PlayStation 4 was so successful was because the Xbox was just so unsuccessful from the launch. And Xbox lost everyone at launch and they just could never recover. And PlayStation did really well on that. Now, with everything Xbox is doing, they need to market it super well so people can start seeing what Xbox is doing. And I'm not saying this so people just dump PlayStation and buy an Xbox. I'm saying this so that something sort of changes with this loyal fan base that PlayStation has, so that PlayStation can improve and continue to add more features and give consumers more, so that all consumers, no matter where they play, win. So that's how I see it. And I think this article just kind of showing the difference in the game preservation does a good job at it. And hopefully more people recognize just what Xbox is doing this gen to really just give consumers a lot more value. I don't really know how else to put that. May have went on a little bit of a rant there about the marketing. May not have too much to do with this backwards compatibility stuff coming to Android, but hey, I'm happy to see this. I mean, more backwards compatibility to me is a great thing. It's a great thing for me. I love backwards compatibility. I love playing older games. I love playing 360 games. So I'm always for that kind of stuff. But that's it for that. So now I'm going to move on here to the next topic. And that is, oh no, that tweet that I was going to show has been deleted. I don't know why. I'm going to try to pop it up here. It's basically... if you can see my search history if you're watching the video, Aaron Greenberg, and then Outriders servers, nonstop Outriders, because I've been playing Outriders, loving the game, but the servers have been crap. Kotaku fake news with Halo is the actual next game or next topic I wanted to talk about, because I made a video on it. I kind of ranted on it, but basically Kotaku got trolled, I guess. They fell for a troll tweet saying that Halo was delayed until 2022. And they published it. They published the article. It was crazy to me. It blew my mind that I guess coming from Kotaku, it's not surprising because Kotaku publishes some of the dumbest articles I've ever seen in video games. Like, I don't know how this website is, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but I don't know how this website is still so, I guess it's not that successful when you compare it to, if you look up like Kotaku on Amazon, Alexa, or whatever it's called, where you compare web stats, it's way behind all the other big gaming websites like IGN and stuff. But I just don't know how this happens. Like, how does a company like Kotaku, who is supposedly a professional video game journalistic website, fall for a clearly blatant fake tweet from a Twitter account. Sure, the fake Twitter account branded itself to make you think it was like the actual Halo Infinite 343 account, but they had 71. They had 70. They were following 71 people, and they had 0 followers, or was reversed. Either way, it's such a low number. You easily can see that this is not the real account. It takes literally the lowest amount of journalistic investigation to realize that that was fake. So that article got posted. They took it off. Then they apologized and said, we got I'm trying to find the tweet here. I can't. There's so much. But anyways, they apologized and they said that, they got tricked and they're sorry for it, blah, 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 blah. And it was on March 31st, and some people are still kind of thinking it was an April Fool's joke, but it wasn't. It was not an April Fool's joke. They literally thought Halo Infinite was being delayed until 2022. They wrote an article, they published it. It went through all, I guess, their checks and balances, if they have any, to post it, and then they took it down after the backlash. And it blows me away because like I said in my video, I'm a one-man show here. I just love talking about video games. I'm not a professional. I'm just kind of just shooting the shit with you guys and just talking about games and having a good time. And I feel like I come up with better opinions than some of the stuff that these Kotaku articles come up with. And I don't even fall for that stuff. And this isn't me trying to pump my own tires and me saying that I'm never going to fall for that stuff. I may one day, I may. But my level of excuse, my leeway for the excuse of it, much bigger than a professional website where, they're making, it's their job. They're literally getting paid to do this. I guess I'm just still ranting on that, but yeah, I can't find the tweet where they said sorry. Maybe they took it down. But anyways, it did happen. If you go check out my video, I have the screenshots. Even the tweet showing it, I guess, is gone. I don't know why it would be gone, but at the end of the day, it's a sad state that that's happening. Oh, there we go. I found it. Halo Infinite not delayed. We got everybody. And it was not an April Fool's. It wasn't an April Fool's joke. It was embarrassing what it was. And I don't think it's like, nobody should be like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's like, come on. You guys are a professional website. It's your job to do this. It would have taken 3 seconds of research to figure out that it was fake. And obviously they didn't do that. I'm not even upset at the journalist who wrote it. It's not about that. It's about the professional company. The journalist writes it. I guess they should probably submit it to like a senior editor or something. I don't know how it works. And the senior or whoever published it was like, oh yeah, this is real. Let's hit publish, and boom. And then they realized, what the heck are we doing? Anyways, that's that. So if you didn't, to sum it all up, Kotaku wrote an article about fake news from a troll account saying that Halo Infinite was delayed until 2022. Halo Infinite is not delayed until 2022. We do not have an official release date yet for Halo Infinite. I strongly believe, and if I had to make a bet, that Halo Infinite, when it's going to be released, it's going to be released in the holiday of 2021. 343, people keep thinking, oh, it could be delayed again. It may be delayed, but if you've been following Halo at all, you've been following 343, they've been extremely transparent with the development updates since the original delay. They put out their monthly Halo Waypoint stuff where they're showing you screenshots of the game. They're talking about the progress. This isn't like Cyberpunk where, oh, we got a delay and there's been no information. And then a month before the release or whatever, oh, we have another delay with no information. This isn't like that at all. This is 343 being transparent. I strongly believe that if it wasn't for the backlash from that original trailer, they would have released Halo Infinite with the launch of the Series X. The gameplay was probably ready, pretty much ready. They've even said that they're pretty much done the campaign and they're just kind of polishing, or they're done the campaign, I think. So the game's going to be ready. They're polishing the graphics. I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass by being so strongly opinioned on me thinking this game is going to come out in holiday 2021. I have no doubts. So with that being said, just get ready for Halo Infinite. I don't know how to end that one off, but yeah, I'm excited for it. Can't wait to play it. And until we hear if they continue being transparent, I have no doubt that it's going to be released in 2021. And that's it pretty much. So the next topic I want to move on to is probably the biggest topic of the week, probably one of the biggest things to happen for a very long time. And that is MLB The Show 21, originally a PlayStation exclusive, making its way onto Xbox Game Pass on day one, which when I woke up on Friday and I saw that news, I was just blown away that they were able to pull this off. And now looking into it more, seeing what people are saying, it's because I'm pretty sure because the MLB and Microsoft MLB publishes it, so or they have, I don't know how the actual deal works, but the MLB pushed for this game to come on to Xbox Game Pass to reach a broader audience and not just have a lock to PlayStation. PlayStation probably didn't have too much of a say in this. I highly doubt PlayStation would have given the okay if they weren't forced to have this out on Xbox Game Pass on day one, because they're already bringing it multi-platform the first time ever on an Xbox console, and now they're adding it on day one. But all that stuff at the end of the day is irrelevant. It's irrelevant in my opinion. It's all just semantics on the side of people trying to find reasons to not be happy about this announcement. There is nothing to be sad about this announcement, no matter where you lie on the spectrum, whether you're PlayStation hardcore fanboy, you're in the middle, or you're an Xbox hardcore fanboy. I guess that's kind of like my political spectrum for the console wars. But there's nothing to be sad about. This is great, no matter where you play. You're on PlayStation, you only have a PlayStation. Hey, if you don't want to buy an Xbox, you're still going to be able to pay for the game. You're going to have to pay full price, but you're still going to be able to play the game on PlayStation. Maybe this is what gets you to buy an Xbox, even an Xbox Series S. You're going to buy the Xbox Series S, you're going to sign up for Game Pass, and I guarantee you the second you do that, you're going to love Game Pass, and you're going to have the best of both worlds. You're going to have your PlayStation, play whatever you want to play on it, play the first-party games, because those games are awesome, and then you're going to have your Xbox Series S, and you're like, wow, this service is actually all it's cracked up to be. And you're going to have that too, and you're going to save $70, $80 on MLB The Show 21. You're on Xbox, well, you have Xbox Game Pass, you're set. You're somebody like me, canceling his pre-order now. In Canada, that game is $90 before tax. It was $100 after tax. I just saved $100 because I've canceled my pre-order, and I get to play my Xbox Game Pass on day one. So it's a win for everybody out there. And on top of that, this type of stuff is going to push PlayStation to do better. Simple as that. Going to push them to do better. Well, hopefully, unless they're just not listening or not seeing. But maybe one day we will see PlayStation PS Now or PS Plus include first-party PlayStation games on day one. And the day that happens, it will be great for everybody. It's not like, oh, PlayStation's better now, Xbox is better now. It's just literally just great for everyone. The more money we can save and the more value we get out of the money we spend on video games, it's always a win. And I don't see any negative in any of this. So I don't know. Some people are still trying to spin it, put a negative point of view on it. I think we're now starting to see those hardcore PlayStation fanboys understand the greatness of Xbox Game Pass, and kind of either they're going one of two ways. They're starting petitions to get rid of Jim Ryan, or they are like saying, hey, maybe we should give this Xbox Game Pass a chance, because maybe all the things that people have been talking about over the last couple of months, last couple of years about the service are true. I mean, Xbox Game Pass was great, whether or not MLB The Show 21 made its way onto the service or not. I didn't think there was a chance in hell this game was going to come onto Xbox Game Pass. And Phil Spencer did his thing, blew me away. And I'm so excited to have this game there. So I'm going to be checking it out day one for sure. And yeah, PlayStation developed game, San Diego Studios, on Xbox Game Pass on a subscription service for their direct competitor on the day of its release. I wonder how San Diego Studios feels about this. I wonder if the developers in there even care, or if they're like, hey, we're good with this. I mean, more people are going to play the game that we work our asses off to make every year. More people can experience it and see the creative stuff that we do. I'm all for it. Maybe that's what they're like, or maybe they're not. I don't know. But it's interesting to think about. And yeah, April 20th, I believe, is the release date. And I think so there's the all new Stadium creator in the next generation version of the game. I'm definitely going to be doing that. If the big O, because a big Expos fan, is not in the game, I will try to recreate that if it's possible. And then you got Diamond Dynasty, which is that's another thing I want to mention actually. Diamond Dynasty is like that card building game. I think in the show 21 they're making it better and less microtransaction-y, where you can actually get all your cards just by playing. But that's going to see a big boost, I think, in the profits because it's on Game Pass on day one and 20 million people have access to it. That's going to be huge, and those numbers are probably going to show developers just the power of putting your game on the service. You're going to make more money through those kind of transactions. So I think that's something to look at as well. That's just kind of a side thing I wanted to mention. But yeah, so then there's Road to the Show. It's like a deep RPG, sports RPG. So if you like that kind of stuff, check that game mode out. And yeah, I'm going to be just jumping in and having a lot of fun. Probably we'll stream it and stuff. So I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's good news. Everyone wins, and we should all be happy about this. And people shouldn't be crying and trying to start a petition, blah blah blah. I mean, if you're upset with PlayStation, make your voice heard, but you shouldn't be like trying to make this out to be something that's bad. This is a great thing. So that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say on that. And finally, to end off the show here, Outriders. Outriders launched on April 1st. Another big third-party game releasing on Xbox Game Pass on day one. And Outriders is doing extremely well in terms of users, concurrent users. Whoa, it actually broke its... I'm doing this podcast right now, and it broke its day one all-time peak of 111,000 users. And now it's at 116,000 concurrent users on Steam. 116,000 concurrent users from Steam have purchased Outriders, and they're playing it on their PC. Crazy. And right now there's 74,000 concurrent players. So basically what I want to talk about with this is how successful Outriders has been, and how a game can release on Xbox Game Pass on day one and still be successful on other platforms. Excuse me. And the talk that Game Pass devalues games, or it isn't good for developers. Developers are scared to put their games on Game Pass because they don't want to lose money on selling it, or any of these like fabricated, made up negative thoughts towards Xbox Game Pass for developers, based off of if you're not a developer yourself. I think stuff like this really just continues to prove those things wrong. We've seen reports come out about Sega, EA. There were other ones. I can't think of them on the top of my head, but there were other developers that have come out and praised Xbox Game Pass for the success of their games on it. We saw, I think his name is Mike Rose. I've talked about this in their videos, from No More Robots, the developer. They're a smaller developer who has 4 games on Game Pass. Was worried about putting their games on Game Pass because they are more single player driven games. They're smaller games. They're not games as a service, and was worried that Game Pass wouldn't support those types of games very well. We've seen that that's not true. Those games were supported well. They've gotten lots of players. And on top of that, their sales went up. Their overall sales went up for selling those games at full price or whatever price they were on the store. And I mean, there's many reasons why that happens. People don't have Game Pass. They still want to play them. They buy them. They buy them on different platforms. Or they buy them, or they play them on Game Pass. Then they use that 10% discount or whatever it is to get those games and own them when they're still on Game Pass, or when they're about to come off Game Pass. So there's always that availability with Game Pass to purchase a game. You love it and you want to support the developer, or if you want to own it forever in case it ever comes off the service. And we're seeing that is paying dividends for these developers. Outriders being on Xbox Game Pass on day one is going to do extremely well with the amount of players playing the game, and there's crossplay as well, so which is really cool. And they're still selling tons on Steam, so they're making their money on full retail price of the game on other platforms, and they're making their money, which who knows how big the deal was between Square and Xbox, or I guess it'd be Square because they're publishing it. Square and Xbox to get that game onto Game Pass on day one. So they're cutting out a ton of their risk initially by putting it on Game Pass, making that deal with Xbox, getting that money, and then they're like double dipping essentially because they're making more money on selling the game on other platforms at full price, and people are still buying them, which is crazy. So for Xbox's point of view, it's a win for them because they're getting a big title on Xbox Game Pass on day one. I can almost guarantee you because that you're seeing their subscriptions go up. So they're making their money based off of the subscriptions going up and then making continuous monthly amount of money off of those subscribers. And everyone wins. Like, it's just a winning solution for developers, for Xbox, for the gamers, for the consumers. And it's great to see that Outriders is going to show a lot of these big third-party games that if they put their game on Game Pass on day one, they're going to make that money from Microsoft, and they're still going to make that money from selling the game full price on other platforms. It's a win-win. It takes away a lot of the risk by putting it on Game Pass, and their profits and everything are probably going to go up. I would love to see the final numbers in, like, maybe not final, but like in a month or two from now, how many sales Outriders had on PC, on PlayStation 5, and then how much like money they made off the game, if that's something you could even look up and compare it to previous releases like that they've done. I don't know. So it's just a win-win, and it bodes well for users if they're on Game Pass, because I think stuff like this means that Xbox is going to continue to get day one major third-party games on the service. We just saw MLB, the show I just talked about. I think that's going to continue throughout this generation. It's crazy to think about that we're getting all Xbox Game Studio games day one, and now we're going to be getting third-party games on day one as well. And as an aside to the numbers and the success of Game Pass and everything, Outriders is one hell of a fun game. Like, if you haven't played it yet, go check it out. I've streamed it about 8 hours now, and if it wasn't for those server issues right off the bat, because it always happens with these games with tons of players jumping on, I'd be playing it nonstop, and it's just so much fun. The mechanics, the abilities, the ability to like craft and upgrade your weapons and all that kind of stuff. It's a great time. So if you haven't checked it out, download it on Game Pass. If you have it on Game Pass, try it out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the amount of depth in the game and just the fun that you're going to have with it. So that's pretty much it for me, guys. That's my first episode of my weekly podcast where I kind of just wanted to recap all the stuff and put it into video form, give you maybe a little bit more depth to my opinions and my thoughts than I do in my videos. My videos are more just directly to the point. And so Plume podcast right now, name pending. Maybe one day I'll get somebody else on here with me, try to expand this thing. But check it out on Spotify, and obviously here, if you're watching on if you're listening on Spotify, check it out on my YouTube channel. And I really appreciate you subscribing to my YouTube channel. I make videos, and the only reason I do it is because, well, I wouldn't say the only reason. I have a couple of reasons. One, it's a ton of fun. I love talking about games, and two, because you guys are enjoying it. So that's why I'm doing it. And check me out there. I also have a join feature or a membership feature thing I just created on YouTube. It's 99 cents a month. It's going to give you access to emotes when I stream, and make sure your comments are highlighted and stuff. And really, it's just to support the channel if you think I deserve it, if it's something that you want to do. But yeah, thank you guys all for your support. Thank you guys all for watching. And catch you in the next episode.